other way.
What's going on, guys? Great Freak here, and in this video we're going to be talking about Bogdan Bogdanović and him being reportedly unhappy with his bench role on the Sacramento Kings. Now, of course, as we know, Bogdan Bogdanović has been a starter as far as in the recent few bits, as far as the beginning of the season of his career. Now, this is his third season in the league, and he's not being, of course, put into a starting position, but instead coming off of the bench. And it's being reported that he is not really happy with this direct move. So whenever we look at something like this, obviously he's now on the last year of his contract, which I will definitely go into as far as how movable his contract is. But one of the teams that seems to be as far as interested in a piece like this would be the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, if we look at his stats, we see the fact that he averages around 12 points per game, 2.6 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and around 40% from the three-point line. And as far as his career averaging around 37% from the three-point line. So somebody who's consistently good at three-point shooting, not just having a hot start to this season. So whenever we look at this, obviously the 76ers are looking for players as far as bench players to come off with the three-point role. Now, if you're wondering why would somebody like Bogdanović want this, it's pretty obvious that he wouldn't want this, but in a situation like this, we know the fact he's nearing the end of his salary. This could be a one-year move as far as for the 76ers, and if they don't plan to sign him again, they can easily just move on from that situation and they go their separate ways after that. But of course, like we do know, when the 76ers first made their runs in the playoffs, one of their biggest moves was being able to add those additional three-point shooters and players like Marco Bellinelli and others that ended up helping them shoot threes, score more about 2 years ago. And whenever we saw that, we knew the fact that that's sort of the best thing that you want around somebody like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, is of course for two separate reasons for those two players. But of course, for Ben Simmons, you want somebody who can spread the floor, considering his lack of a jump shot and inability to spread the floor himself. But of course, the good passing ability that he does have for somebody to dish it out to. And of course, somebody like Joel Embiid, who would predominantly do better whenever being put into a post situation or being down low. And of course, you would want to create three-point spacing and maybe pass out situations for somebody like him. So as far as that, I think the fact that this could be a good move. Of course, when we're talking about a move like this, we're not talking about any major pieces being moved. When we saw that $8.5 million, obviously that's a easy to move contract. That's nothing that's difficult to move around. Most likely we're talking about two other bench players, probably at the most three, with one complete role player in there. But as far as that, I don't see this being a move that would be difficult. And of course, this could go in with a situation with other teams as well. We may see the Sacramento Kings trying to shop around for him, or maybe they are interested in him. I think that to be a little bit unlikely, considering the fact that they most likely will not be moving him back into the starting lineup due to the young talent that they do have on that Sacramento's team. And whenever we look at something like this, I don't think the fact that he's somebody that they're really directly worrying about building around at this direct moment. So as a situation like this, I see them easily moving on, and maybe you see this as a small trade. Now, of course, this isn't any big trading news by any means, but I think the fact when we're talking about a team like the Philadelphia 76ers, who are, to me, one of the most prominent teams in the Eastern Conference, whenever we look down to it, I definitely take them as one of the main contenders out of the Eastern Conference. And whenever we look at that addition that they have with Al Horford, and then maybe trying to just deepen the team out with some better all-around shooting around that, I think the fact that that's a good addition for somebody like the 76ers to go in the role for. So once again, seeing that as a fact, I see the fact that this is being a trade that could happen most likely a little bit more towards the trade deadline. I wouldn't see this being something that has to be rushed out or anything like this. This isn't any type of situation as far as them not being able to do anything with it. So whenever we see something like this, it's not a big deal when it comes down to this fact. Now, I think the fact he's an easily to move player, there's nothing really bad about his game directly. So as far as that, and of course for his money, it's not a bad signing. And of course 40% shooting from the three-point line is always going to be wanted by a team, no matter who it is. And I think the fact that it's a good pick, but of course, as always, I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on this. Do you think the fact that this is a good trade for the 76ers to go after? Do you think the fact that they need more three-point shooting, more depth, and do you think the fact that somebody like Bogdan Bogdanović is somebody who is good with it? Now, I do know the fact that the average person probably does not know too much about Bogdan Bogdanović, but of course a good Syrian player that does come from an international standpoint. I thought the fact that, as I mentioned in my video about the U.S. most likely going to lose in the FIBA World Cups, I thought the fact that it was pretty obvious that that was going to happen and that these other international teams are actually stepping up in their talent. And not to sit there and say that Bogdanović is one of the best players from Syria, of course. We definitely would have to go more with a player like Jokic and others before we go straight into something like that. But I think the fact that he's definitely one of the solid pieces that we could definitely see, and I think the fact that he does have good potential as far as just being a good three-point shooter in this league. But guys, tell me what your guys' thoughts are on this. Do you think the fact that this is a good trade? And do you think the fact that the Sacramento Kings will trade somebody like Bogdanović this season? So guys, tell me what your guys' thoughts are on that. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you guys leave a like and subscribe to become part of the Greek Economy today. And as always, this is Sparta.